Hope you're all getting ready for Christmas and everybody's getting excited and full of Christmas spirit and having a little more charitable feelings toward each other than the rest of the year anyway. And this time we're going to get to part 4 of the Crosman Power Master Variant 1 restoration. This time we're going to start with the butt plate I told you guys about. I wanted to make for it. This thing is just it's just a wooden buttstock, and there's nothing there on this Variant 1 original model. And so I got to looking at the old Winchester saddle guns, lever actions. It was called the saddle gun at one time. And the 1892 model had a formed, stamped, in other words, steel butt plate that looked like it was made from steel strap to me. I had to use 1.5 inch by 1/8 inch thick stock. I would have rather had 1/16 inch thick, only 1 1/4 inch to match the width of the butt stock, but such was not the case. So I drew up a pasteboard template that I'm going to show you here in a minute to draw out on the steel strap so I can form it. I'll have to. I also made it to the size of my Dremel cylindrical router bit and the smaller sanding drum to make it easy to shape the metal and inlet the top of the stock where the tang goes over the top of the stock, as you'll see in the video here. I'm going to change to a slideshow video with voiceover that I've been doing lately, so that way you can pause it and look at it and you can kind of study things a little more. I thought that might be better, so I just do an intro, maybe an outro, where I'm actually sitting here talking with you to make things a little clearer. Okay, to start with, here's a rear shot of the buttstock, which, as I said, looks rather plain, and it definitely needs something to finish it off, so we'll be doing a butt plate. And here you can see the 2.5 inch AR-15 Picatinny rails, which have wider spacing than the Weaver rail, to mount the scope on. I just got them sitting in place. They have to be mounted to fit the curve of that upper part of the receiver there. And here is that little Tudor's glass with a cotton ball on the bottom, and the front and rear sight parts all polished up and waiting patiently to go to the next step. And here's some Hawk 1-inch low-rise rings to mount the scope so this doesn't stick up too high on them Picatinny rails. And yes, that Simmons 4x12 was a 1-inch tube. And here I took a piece of pasteboard I was using for a mouse pad and drew out the outline for the pattern on the butt plate on there, and then just cut out the general area. And here I'm trimming it out with, those are barber shears, by the way. Even little tiny slivers, that gets nerve-wracking trying to cut that just right, so that it matches the back of the buttstock, as you see here. The part sticking up as a tang is going to be the tang, where it bends over the top of the stock like an 1892 Winchester, like that. So you have to inlet it first before you bend it to stick it in there so it'll all fit, and use a mallet to hammer it into where it fits the contours of the buttstock, and then you can drill and countersink the screw holes. And here's a piece of 1.5 inch stock that's an 1/8 inch thick. I couldn't get it thinner than that. Do what you gotta do. And wiped it down with some lens cleaner before I drew the pattern out on it with the small end of a Sharpie. Used to use those to draw the body lines on slot car bodies. And I got these 2 bottles of Permablue here from Walmart.com for $5.99 each on sale. It's usually like $8.44-ish. Oh yeah, Permablue's best. And $1.93 for 300 of these, again at Walmart. I use a lot of Q-tips for these guns and all the little gas ports and little screw holes and all such as that to get in there. And here's the barrel, but I only polished it up to 1500 grit this time, since it is a chemical rusting process after all. There's a blue and rust remover there, where I am going to use some Q-tips to get into little indentations and holes and all of that to get in there and clean the bluing and rust off, besides the the whole thing. And this is after I rinsed it and dried it and got in there with more Q-tips and cleaned everything out again. The blue handled pail is the clear rinse water with a little cup to pour with, a 3-ounce bathroom cup, and the red one is the one you rinse into, so you don't cross-contaminate. And again, this is what it looks like after all is said and done, dried up, cleaned out, and everything. You can see it's nice and shiny there after getting some more of that bluing out of the metal, even after it's been polished. And all those little gas ports and holes, that you need to clean all that stuff out. That is an incredible pain to. Besides, I have to clean the barrel, inside the barrel out tomorrow before I assemble it. But in the cleaner degreaser, you have to use that, and once I use these patches here, the Brownells coarser, thicker patches, great for cleaning. With the cleaner degreaser here, wipe it down real good, give it a good scrubbing, and I pulled some more dirt out, and once again, rinse and repeat. You gotta rinse it, and then you gotta dry it and let it. I put it in front of the heater, let it dry a little bit, and here's a good one here. Don't spare the Q-tips, gloves, and those blue paper towels. Use all of them you have to, and then some. Every time you change something, change the glove. Pile's already starting. So, yeah, you just don't go cheap on the gloves and paper towels and stuff. Use all of them you want, and then some, to make sure you're not cross-contaminating anything with this Permablue, because it will show up later, much later, when you'd rather it wouldn't. And here is the Crosman 160 Pel gun. I used that Permablue on that one, screws and everything. You can see how good that came out, so you know I care about my work. And here's the polished barrel warming up after all them cold rinses in front of the heater. And I'm turning it around. You can see there the way the paper's positioned that I turned it once. And turn it again and just turn it around and letting it sit and warm up a little bit, since you don't have a 140-degree bluing tank. And here's the sight parts, cotton balls and Permablue. And the gloves. Changing all the gloves again. I'll burn that whole box if I have to. I don't care. And here's what the polished sight parts look like before I put them back in there. Polished them up real nice, all the way up to 2500. And here, took the cotton ball out, put the parts back in there. You can see that's going to be filled up pretty good from that little old bottle. Now I know why they got 32-ounce bottles of this shit. And here it is. That's how fast that stuff starts to work. And those dang little bubbles get on there. I should have tapped that glass a little bit, because it makes blind spots where the bluing don't get to if you don't get the bubbles off. I didn't think of that. And here's after a couple coats of bluing. And after it's been rinsed and dried up a little more, it looks like shit. But that's just what's like on the surface. And as we get further into it, we get the I actually had it oiled here after about 6 coats of that stuff. Turn it around, letting it, warm up so the oil will flow out and soak in better. And here's the side parts after they've been pulled out of the bluing and rinsed and dried and hosed down with rem oil. Looking really good. Soaking definitely is the way to go. Barrel's probably an hour or two though. And I forgot to put this in. Here's after the 6th coat of bluing, and you let it sit a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and you let it sit in front of the heater for about 15 to 30 minutes with oil on it. After it sat up here a while, I took that cotton ball you see sitting there and gently wiped it, turned it around and wiped it down, wiping some excess oil off after some of it had at least 30-40 minutes to soak in. And you can see it's looking pretty good. And that's the resulting big pile of gloves and bluing containers and all that kind of stuff laying down there. Paper towels. I must have burned up dang near half a roll of them blue paper towels. Those things like... Well, gee, that was fun. I got 6 coats of perma blue on that thing, which you have to let sit for, according to instructions, for a minute each time. I let it sit for 1.5 to 2 minutes. And then you got to rinse it, dry it, and get ready for another coat. You keep coating and waiting 1.5 or 2 minutes. Rinse, and repeat until it looks good. And so far, I let it sit in front of the heater there for between 15 to 30 minutes, warming up, and so the oil will flow and soak in, And then I set it up here where you see it now, on top of my box of other gum-related stuff, the bottles of chemicals and the cleaning kits and polishing paper or whatever. And then wiping it with a cotton ball lightly. I'm not going to wipe these things with patches or cloths or paper towels anymore. That wipes some of the bluing off. That was a mistake. This one's actually looking like it's going to come out pretty decent. 3rd time's a charm, they say, but we'll see. So next time we will assemble the sights to the barrel, and we'll get back to the butt plate later. I think now I want to start tearing that thing apart, and I got the barrel band on that one. The variant one is some sort of it looks like some kind of aluminum magnesium alloy. So I don't know if aluminum black will work on there, because it looks more like the old magnesium halibrands to me, like they used on the first Cobra Roadsters. That's what that thing looks like when the paint or whatever they got it coated with wears off. So I might use some black rust, clean it up real nice, and hit it with some black Rust-Oleum. Because I don't think it's pure aluminum. They got aluminum black and brass black. But if it's any kind of alloy, it won't work. And I think this barrel here has got impurities in the metal when they made the barrel. It's not as good as the one on the 160 back there, in my opinion. Because that one, the steel was purified so nicely that perma blue took real nice. I had almost a half a bottle, the little 3-ounce bottles here left when I got done bluing everything. And as you saw me do with that Tudor's glass in the front and rear side parts, soaking these things is the way to go. That works nice. take it out, rinse it, dry it, and hose it down with rem oil and just let it sit. And then when you wipe it down, the excess comes off like sort of lamp black or something. And then it actually looks good and even, and it's rather nice. A little bit better than what Crosman did, but not by much. So I'm thinking Crosman used a cold bluing process for the parts that were actually blued, and even then not good enough in my opinion. Like they didn't soak it long enough. So next time I do these, like the 760D pump master back there, it needs to be soaked to get that thick rust and stuff off of it. And I'm going to make some tanks, even if I got to go to somebody, because that one, the rear side is tack welded on, so you can't remove it and just use a real narrow chunk of PVC filled with the fluid and just hang the barrel and let it sit for an hour, you know. You can't do that with that one, so I'll have to find somebody with a 3D printer and maybe have them make me up a little tray to fit that particular series of barrels. Because you warm that metal up, even with a hairdryer on hot, warm the metal up and then hang it in there, and wow, does that work. And it's easier. This thing just about wore out my last nerve. Well, I'm German. That's what I do. I care about what I do. I want this to come out good. If I have to, I don't know what, you know. So this Santa Claus definitely is OCD about his job. Let's just put it that way. I'm not saying that like it's a bad thing, but hey, just wearing on my last nerve. But it's looking nice. I love it when it looks like shit when you first rinse the last coat of gluing solution off and get it all dried. It just thing looks like 3 shades of hell. Like oil on water and somebody threw some dust in it just to piss you off, you know. But then you get to wiping it down and let the oil soak in front of the heater where it's warming up and the oil's flowing and soaks in a little better. It drags the bluing into the metal as it cures overnight. So I won't even touch that until tomorrow afternoon. 3 o'clock maybe in there, 2 or 3. Assemble the sights on it and then we can start taking that gun apart. I've got seal kits and all that later. I just need to learn a little bit more about what I want to do to the valving, to the gas valve assembly and stuff like that, the pump piston seals, all these little things that you modify one thing, you got to work your way back through the whole chain and you got to modify everything that works with that in some way or other. So it's not as easy as all that. There's some real science and technology going on here, even with these old rifles, to bring them up to snuff, so to say. But we'll get to that in due course of time. Won't be done for Christmas, but it will get done. I'm gonna do it, get it done right, not just do it to get it done. Let's say that. So, good Lord willing, the creeks don't rise. We'll see you again.